type of clothing that contains linen and wool included, or only those that are worn as normal garments that cover the body, such as a shirt or a... Rav Ashi in the Gemara Beitza formulates an important principle with regard to this question, that only clothing that is generally used to warm a person is included.
Ernie, one
yes.
second. Can everybody just switch their videos off besides Ernie's and mute their things because...
Okay, you're off, Walter. Okay. Walter, I'm muting you.
Yeah, but please, Mario, please make sure that each person has the ability to...
They can.
No, make sure everybody who wants to make a comment,
yes,
is able to make a comment. What they just press the mute button and they can talk, right?
They can unmute.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you press the unmute.
Okay. So Amar Rav Hani Tzurba de Pshiti.
Why can't they?
Okay. So the people had like a little bag for coins that was made.
Ernie, excuse me, what page you're on?
That was made out of cloth. So there's no...
Ernie, what page?
303.
Volume 3,
I got
page
it.
303. So we're dealing with the question, what kind of garments are asur mishum Shaatnez? So Rav Ashi says, Hani Tzurba Pshiti, these bundles for coins. You can imagine that somebody had something made out of felt or made out of some kind of fabric. Doesn't make a difference. Ein behem mishum kloim. However, the Bazrani, a pouch that was meant to hold seeds, eish behem mishum kloim. Now Rav Ashi Amar no. Echad zeh v'echad zeh ein behem mishum kloim. Why? This is not the normal way of keeping warm. People would not use these kind of objects next to your skin to keep warm. So Rav Ashi seems to create a get there for kloim that has to be a garment that you would use to keep warm. The Rambam brings this principle of Rav Ashi in Hilchos Kloim. Ein asur mishum kloim ela b'godim she'ein derech chimul. Only kind of garments that are asur mishum Shaatnez is if it provides warmth. Kigon hakutonet, like a shirt, hamitznefet, which is a hat, hamichnesayim, pants, avnei, a belt, hasimla, a dress, uvegodim shemechapim ben asur shukayim v'sayadayim, things that will cover their thighs, their hands, v'kayotz behem. Aval tziltzulim ktanim, but little bundles that people use to put little tzatzkis in, like that you're going to carry by hand, ma'os or tavlin, money or spices, or a smart tooth, a shmate, shemanichin alavritia or malugmo or isplanis. You're going to put some medicine on it to use as a bandage. Hare elu mutari, afal pi shepsor nogeh, even though it touches your flesh, ein derech chimul b'kaf. He uses Rav Ashi's getter in the Gemara that it's not made to provide warmth. So the Sefer Shaatnez, page 304, rules that in our times as well, hats, socks, gloves, and other similar articles of clothing are included in the prohibition of Shaatnez. Bandages are not, since they're not used to warm a person, they're just used for therapy. Right? Says the Sefer Shaatnez gam chagurot, which are belts, kovayim, hats, garbayim, socks, ukfafot, gloves, sheyesh behem kloim, osur leloiv shom. But a tachbushet or retia, a bandage made out of garment, shesamim al gav maka ein behem isur Shaatnez. So Rav Yisrael Pesach Feinhandler in the Sefer Avnei Yashba holds that a tie is subject to the prohibition of Shaatnez, even though you think it's not worn as a garment in the same way as other clothing. Right? Benidun didan shalaniva, which is a tie. Listen, you put the tie around your neck, even though the point of it is that the main point of a tie is that it should drop and provide a decoration, still, shuv nikra beged v'derech levisha, kiven shedom l'tzaif, shalov simi, it's like a scarf. The dom l'mitpachas hasfrim, it's similar to like when you use a mantle for a Sefer Torah. Sheyesh lem beis rosh, v'chol shalov shalonoso havi beged. We're going to see the Tosefta is going to talk about a mantle that you use for a Sefer Torah, or any kind of something that you wear for decoration, heavy beged. Often will beged kal ve'ein mishum chimur. Even though it's a light beged, and you wouldn't think that it provide warmth.
Ernie, can I interrupt
So
you a
this
second?
concept of Shaatnez for things that are not clothing, page 305. Are other articles made from fabric that are not? Yes, of course.
My question is,
Yes, Bernie.
it seems that the halacha is based on
Bernie?
whether the clothes provide warmth or not. But what happens to all of those people who live in warm climates and don't wear these clothes for purposes of keeping them warm, just as a societal norm? I don't understand the concept. It was just made for those living in cold climates. The whole concept of Shaatnez, according to what a Ravashi had to say.
Well, I mean, even if you live in a warm climate, you still wear a shirt. At night. You know what I'm saying? Even though there's still a warmth factor, it defines the kind of garment that we're talking about. But for example, you might think that a tie does not fall under the category. So they brought an opinion that it is, but there may be cholkim regarding that. And we're going to see other things that you don't necessarily need to check for Shaatnez because it's not used for warmth. But I think it just gives us a get there, just because a sweater is worn, and we don't wear sweaters a lot. The sweater is something that there would be a chiv Shaatnez if you got a sweater.
Maybe because wool is one of the items, wool and linen,
Yes.
and wool is primarily a warm material for cold weather.
Remember, Shaatnez is wool and linen. So if the garment
that's what I'm saying.
So the garment is not a wool garment, then you don't have to be worried about Shaatnez.
Maybe the principle,
even if it does provide warmth, if you know for sure that it's not made out of wool and linen, then we're going to see that you may not even have a reason to check it either. But if you know that the garment is made of wool, we're going to deal with that tonight. When do you have to check? What do you have to check? But Ravashi is giving a get there as to what kind of garment we need to worry about Shaatnez. So we're going to see, what about a towel? What about a tablecloth? What about a sheet? We're going to deal with these things. It's not just garments. It's anything made out of wool and linen. We're going to have to deal with the issue. Does it provide warmth? And it might provide warmth, and therefore might be prohibited.
Ernie, maybe the principle of a Suffolk Daraisa L'Chumra would apply in this particular case.
Well, we'll see. If you know for sure, if you're mesupik, whether something has wool and linen, absolutely, you'd have to check it. But let's say it's a garment.
We're mesupik about whether a tie is being worn by somebody for warmth or purely for decoration. Obviously, some in society wear it for warmth. Some society, or depending where they live, they might wear it for a decoration. So this is a suffix of what the reason it's being worn. We're not talking about a tie. We're not talking about a towel. The towel is not worn. A towel is used for wiping hands.
But we're going to see, since the towel, when you wipe your hands, creates warmth, we're going to see there's going to be a problem with the towel. So it's not just garments that we wear; it's garments that provide warmth. And okay, let's go. Are other articles made from fabric that are used around the house, such as towels, tablecloths, and sofas, and we'll see mattresses, subject to the prohibition of Shaatnez? Although we might expect that based on the rules developed so far, they would not be included. It's not so simple. So this Tosefta brings, according to Chachamim, that metapchot yadayim, hand towels, umetapchot sfarim, covers around the Torah scroll, umetapchot svog, towels for the body, ein behem mishum klayim, says the Tanna Kama. But Rabbi Eliezer oyser, the Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Eliezer matir v'chachamim oyser. And why is this? The reason that hand towels may be forbidden is that when one dries one's hands on a towel, they are warmed by the rubbing action. And therefore, items that cause a person to be warmed through the fabric that has woolen and linen is going to be forbidden. Based on this Tosefta, the Ramah writes that the same should apply to a tablecloth. As some people wipe their hands on it or use it directly in other ways. Right? Some people will prohibit mitoch Shaatnez tablecloths. I guess in their society, this is in Krakow, in the 1600s, people would wipe their hands on it. Now, nowadays, most people don't wipe their hands on. One second. How do I get the gallery view?
Saul, you're sharing your screen. You need to stop sharing your screen.
Okay, so hold on. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh, nice scene.
Well, now I don't see anything. How do we get the gallery? How do I get the bottom?
Near the bottom in the middle, there's a little thing that says share screen. You have to click on that and it'll unshare it.
Okay, wait a minute. I took myself out of the meeting.
No, you're not in the meeting. You're still in the meeting. You're still in the meeting. You have to stop sharing your screen.
Okay, but I got to hold on. Pause share.
At the you move your mouse to the bottom of the window,
Well,
and you'll
mine's
see a
at
little
the top.
pop-up. And there'll be a little share button there.
There.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, so today people don't wipe their hands on a tablecloth, and it would seem that there would be no prohibition of Shaatnez, even if it did contain linen and wool. Moreover, tablecloths and towels today do not appear to ever be made with a mixture of linen and wool, and therefore there is no obligation to check towels and linen and tablecloths. We'll see in a minute about sheets. And the Yalkut Yosef summarizes this issue of Shaatnez with non-clothing material. First he says vilon. Vilon is a curtain. Imhu rach, if the curtain is soft, osur lasois meklayim. You'd have to make sure that it's not wool and linen. Shaatnez, sometimes the workers that work in your house, mitchamim bolafamim, they might warm themselves with it. Imu kashem mutter. If the curtain is made out of something that's very hard, then it's permitted. V'yesh oimrim shekayom einanu b'kiyim ma'u rachu ma'u kasher. We don't understand the gather of soft or hard. L'chen yesh lahachmer b'chol vilon ha'shui meshatesh shelo l'tlosa b'vayis. So this is what Chaim said. If we're supik today, we don't know what. And since it's the derisive dikadin, we are machmir. But let's say it's a decorative curtain that's very high up, where people don't work. Then you're allowed to hang that, even though you know for sure that there's shaatnez in it, but there's no prohibition, because again, the prohibition is using it to somehow warm yourself. If it's being placed high enough where there's not going to be anybody using it, it's not a problem. Then he says, hand towels. Or ritzpos. You're going to use some kind of a towel to clean the dirty dishes or even the floors. Or the towels you use to towel yourself off after taking a shower. If they're made out of wool and linen, certainly by rubbing them, it creates warmth. He says the reality today in our societies is our towels are not made out of these products. You don't have to give you don't have to give tablecloths and towels to check. Even if they're made with wool. And he says like this, even the derech klal chutei atzemer shezur in polyester. What he says is the wool thread is usually wound with polyester, some kind of synthetic, before it would be wound with linen. And then you have heter beheter bottle. Then there's a concept that since the other element that it's being woven with, which is this polyester, is a dover mutter. So there's bittul. So, and we're going to use this heter again in another place. So he says it's permitted to use pillows, sheets, and mattresses. Is it permitted to use pillows, sheets, and mattresses because of Shaatnez? Again, one would think that this should be permitted. They're not worn as garments, and one does not usually warm oneself with them. For example, in contrast to blankets, so a wool blanket would have to be checked because you certainly warm yourself with them. But rather one lies on top of sheets or pillows. Indeed, the ruling of the Mishnah in Klayim seems that even though it might add warmth, since it's below you, it's not a problem. Says the Mishnah in Klayim HaKarim VaKistos, Ein behem mishum kloim. There's no prohibition.
So you have to
As long as they don't touch your flesh. So let's say you're wearing a pajama, or let's say you have a top sheet on top of it, seems to say, you might have, now, the Gemara in Yuma limits this heter, and rules that Chazal still forbade using these items if they could take Shaatnez, due to the concern that when they benefit from them, and that would violate the prohibition. It means even though you normally lie on them, when you roll, and we know our sheets get rolled, it might be on top of you, and then that's a problem. Says Yuma Vatanya Lo Yala Alecha. Shaatnez cannot be on top of you. But you can place it below you. I mean, that's coming from the Mishnah in Kloim. You're not allowed to do it because you might have even one thread of this combination of wool and linen be on your flesh. And maybe you're going to tell me that there's you can have a separation between himself and whatever he's lying on. So they made a gzeira, very strict gzeira, that if you have a mattress that's got Shaatnez in it, and you pile 10 mattresses on top of it, well, it's never going to be that you're going to touch that with your flesh. There's a gzeira, you're not allowed to use it. However, the Rishonim limit the gather of this rabbinic prohibition to lie upon mattresses and linen made of Shaatnez, but there's a machlokas on how to limit it. According to the Rash and the Rosh, it refers only to linens, pillows, and blankets that are filled with material inside, such as feather or down. But if they're empty, the prohibition applies only if one is touching it directly. So if it's if it's filled, then you have a problem even with 10 mattresses. You can't lie on it. If it's empty, you can lie on it as long as you're going to have some kind of top sheet protecting you. According to the Rambam, on the other hand, the prohibition is limited to where the linen is soft. But if they are hard, then it applies only when one is touching it directly. That means this gzeira, where they said even 10 mattresses on top of it, is only if it's soft. If it's hard, then the isser is only if you touch it. If you somehow have a protective sheet between you, it's okay. And the Shulchan Aruch takes both chumras. Mutar min haTorah leishev u'matzos shel kloim. Shenemar lo ya'ala alecha. Min haTorah, the Rambam recognizes, it's permitted to sit on Shaatnez sheet or mattress, because it says it should go on top of you. אבל אתה מצהיר תחתיך. וכן, says the Ramah, mutter la'aloisem alav shlo b'derech chimur. You could put it on top of you in a way that would not heat you up. Kigon lifos alav oil shakoi. For example, if you go to camp, you could pitch a tent, you could sleep under the tent made out of cloth because it's not touching your body. Let's say you're in a bath and you want to keep the heat in the bathtub and you put something over you, even if it was Shaatnez, the Ramah permits it. Either you wear it like clothing, or you put it on you to warm you up. Now we're back to the Maran Rav Yosef Karo, right? We took a break. Rav Yosef Karo said, the Shulchan Aruch said, Minat Torah you could sit on top of a mattress, but he says u'medivrei sofrim afilu eser matzot zo gabzu v'atachton shabem kloim osur leishev elyon. If you have a mattress that's on the bottom made out of cloim and you've piled 10 mattresses on top of it, you can't even sit on top of it. That's if it's soft, you rest with smolets. But pillows and sheets, which are, I guess, rougher, and therefore a person's not going to want to sleep directly on those because they're hard. As long as you make sure you don't touch it on your flesh. But that heter is only kishem rekonim when they're empty. And it's been put on a bed of wood or stone. But let's say you have a pillow filled with down feathers, or even if they're empty, but they're put on a bed or straw, it could fold up and eventually be on top of you, and therefore it's prohibited. It says the Ramah, all of these prohibitions is kloim d'oraisa, but kloim d'rabonon, if it's kloim d'rabonon, v'hem kashim, and they're hard, mutter leishav alem b'cholin, you can always sit on them. Dohoy l'kshwachim aim, ein arak d'rabonon, if they're soft, it's only rabbinic, the kashim loy gozru. Komakom l'chadkila lo yasser shul kloim. L'chadkila, the mikra din, you shouldn't do it. So according to Shulchan Aruch, it's permitted to lie down upon a sheet or mattress made with kloim only when you have 4 conditions. Hard, it's empty, it's placed upon a hard surface, and you don't touch it directly on your body. So based on these principles, what should be the halach of mattresses or sofas today? Would one be forbidden from using them if they contain Shaatnez? So the Minchas Yitzchak was Dayan Yitzchak Weiss, who was the Av Bezdin of the Eda Charedis in Yerushalayim until about 20 years ago. He's a major posek that we reference a lot. The Minchas Yitzchak discussed this question and recommends being stringent, at least at home, and checking all mattresses that one purchases. Odos matritzim, right? Mizronim, mattresses. Lecheder amito shelo. Im yesh ledakdik shelo yeh behem Shaatnez. V'haolam eino nizroim b'zeh. The Minchas Yitzchak notes most people don't, never even thought of this concept that maybe your mattress is Shaatnez. He recognizes that the people were not nizr b'nes. He says, Yesh lachkor ala metzius b'mazronim ke'elu. He says, let's investigate. The im noimar didin rakim lahem, are they considered soft as af b'klaim drabonon? Even if it was klaim drabonon, lo maboy, mein davar mafsik bein al-b'sor d'asher b'vadai. If there's no separation between your flesh and that, it would be a problem. And la'afim yesh hefsek asher, and even if it was a hefsek, would be asher because it's soft. We said when it's soft, it's always asher because of that of gzeir in Yerushalayim of 10 mattresses. V'im noimar didin kashim. Maybe the din of these mattresses it's kosher. Vav enam nichpapim tachtav, they're not directly under him. As hayam mutter af b'kloim, the oraisa hecha the eno gebib so would be mutter completely, even with the oraisa. With climb drabon not b'nogeh. With climb drabon you could touch it. He says adayin adover tolu b'mitzios im aschor shemimenam na'asim hamatratzim shalanu shazurim, are they woven or wound? Well, the dativ is manazeh rubam shazurim. He says they are round. As long as you don't touch, he wants to say it's permitted. That's what we said before. Since it's wound with other items, it's bottled in a dvar heter. Rambam lefimasha sfirle b'shitoso koshim umuter af b'klem deraisa. He wanted to say the Rambam holds if it's kosher, it's muter even klem deraisa. So yeshmokim lahatir b'shasatchak kigon b'malonim. So he says like this: when we check into hotels and we sleep on a mattress there, so we can be b'shasatchak we can be soymech on these leniencies. Kishiyesh od safek im yesh sham b'chlal kloim. Avakoze ein limutzchus bevatenu. The efshar levarer ulazar ein lismoch al adoiche. He says in our own homes, where we have the ability to check it, we should check it. Other poskim rule that's entirely permitted to use mattresses, which is also the opinion of the Shevet HaLevi, Rav Vosner, and Rav Ovadia Yosef. So we certainly have someone to rely on. Says the Mishnah Halachos, the Mazronim mattresses, kiven deheim nasim beoifen shahalavad hu mechubar latzodim ala eitz o barzel, that the fabric is sort of connected to wood or steel. The after sheyalo gufadim, this is not gonna. We don't sleep directly on a mattress. Like when we put another garment on top of a mattress, that's a hefsek beged. So he says, even if the mattress is Shaatnez gomer, since we cover it with a sheet, it's not going to be a problem because our flesh is not going to touch the mattress. Does someone want to say something?
Is there usher b'hana in Shaatnez? Are you allowed to make it for commercial? Is there an Indian making Shaatnez about usher b'hana? Let's say I make sleeping bags. I used to make sleeping bags with wool. Let's say wool or linen, not for myself but for the public.
I'm going to have to. We'll have to take that under advisement. We know, for example, it says by Basar v'chalav lo savasha gedi b'chalev imo 3 times. One is for Isser Bishul, one is for Isser Achila, and one is for Isser Anah. So the Torah gave us a special limud there of Isser Anah. Then it says also by Orla lo yeyachel, and we have the whole sugya there in Tzachim that when it says lo yochal, there it's only Isra Achila, but there's no Isra Anah. That's why Nevela, Treifa, you can like Kelef Tashlichunoto. Well, there's a shine because it used a certain language of Achila. But normally it says Lo Yeachel Chametz. From there it's Isra Achila and Isra Anah. But from other places where it says Achila, it's just also to eat. It's not also to benefit. Since it says Lo Tilbash Shaatnez, I don't know any limud why it would be also to have Anah from it. Now, you understand that the whole concept of Shaatnez is you cannot benefit from it directly through warming. So there is a concept of Anah, but in terms of can you do business with it, so far we haven't seen a prohibition of it. Right? But I would take that under advisement.
Okay, good. Okay.
So far there's no Isser to do business with that. So let's see the Mishnah Halach we said. Mazronim amulim b'milu if our mattresses are filled with straw, they can't be folded. So, right, you can't fold a mattress. So it's clearly mutter, as long as we don't put our bodies on. So if you cover it in a sheet, it's not going to be a problem. If he's there, Mizronek fitzim, that's mattresses that have springs. Hamitzuyim kayom she'en, you can't bend those either. Dinam kekoshim. Remember the debate between are they kash or rock? Are they hard or soft? So they're clearly hard. You can sleep on them directly as long as you don't cover it with a sheet. You're going to have seksadim, right? Use a sheet. Even if the outside of the mattress is shot, it's not a problem. That's why you can sleep on mattresses in hotels. You're talking running climb. Even if the mattresses were made, personal mattresses, we should get them checked to make sure that there's no Shaatnez in the. I have to talk to my son-in-law, right? They have a mattress. Well, actually, they make metal frames. They make frames, but they work with mattress stores. I don't know if he's on the shear tonight, but we'll have to get him involved. Anyways, Al Pi Matzav Kayom, he says in Eretz Yisrael, Ein Motzei Shaatnez Klabim is running from Eretz Yisrael. They checked and there's no Shaatnez in the mattresses in Eretz Yisrael. Lo b'vada chitzon, v'lo b'tachlis hapnimis. But it could change. Practically today, most couches and mattresses are not made with Shaatnez. However, if the upholstery fabric of a couch is linen, wool, or has a linen look, it may contain Shaatnez, as may certain specific exclusive types of mattresses, in which case the poskim brought above would disagree whether they should be tested for Shaatnez. Now, we have seen that the prohibition of Shaatnez applies to most articles of clothing one wears, as well as a number of other household items. Must one check all of these for Shaatnez every time one purchases them? Does it matter how often any of these items are actually discovered to contain Shaatnez in terms of percentage? So the Mishnah in Climate addresses this issue and states that only garments about which concern exists, that they may be made out of Shaatnez, must be checked. But those, the abardis and also blankets, the dalmatikon, something made of Dalmatian, uminalos, hapinon, some kind of low-quality shoes made out of leftover wool. Lo yilbash bahen ad sheyivda. I guess these things were always made out of wool. You have to check. If they come from the shore or from another country, they were made out of canvas. And these canvas boots as well, we know they're not made out of wool. They don't have to be checked. The Yerushalmi there notes that although the Mishnah, which does not require checking for Shaatnez in all cases, refer to a situation where linen is not available everywhere. And it can therefore be assumed that there's no concern of Shaatnez. But if linen is available, then all clothing must be checked. Says the Yerushalmi, that which they gave a leniency where they had heard that it was made out of canvas, that's if linen's not available. Now, historically, linen is available everywhere, then you have to worry about it. Based on this, the Rambam and other Rishonim rule that one must check all clothing made by Gentiles that contain wool for Shaatnez. Halokech kli tzemer min anochri. Tzorech lebad ko yafe yafe, shema hin tfurin bepishtam. If you buy a wool garment, we're concerned that they used thread to sew it, and the thread was linen. Says the Mari Karkos, Achshav shapistam et subachol makom tzrichim b'dikav l'chein stam Rabbeinu, and that's how the Rabbeinu, referring to the Rambam, v'lo chilek. The Rosh goes a step further and adds that even if the Gentile who made the garment informs you that it contains no linen, you may not believe them. Umasha sha'alta, the Rosh in his Shilas and Trumas got a Shilah. Eno Yehudi Mesiach Lefi Tumo. Now we're not even talking about asking him a direct question. We're going to learn Mirza Hashem as we start Isser Veheter, the question of whether you can believe a non-Jew or not. Well, when you ask them a direct question, we're going to see that you can't believe them because they may, but the Mesiach Lefi Tumo means you're in a bar and you're having a drink with a non-Jew, and he happens to tell you a story as part of conversation. You didn't interrogate him. He doesn't know that you want to know or that you need to know this answer. This concept of Mesiach Lefi Tumo is you get the information from the Nochri through a narrative that you didn't sort of ask him. And he says to you, he says, I'm in the business of selling wool things, but I always sew them with canvas thread, not with linen. Ani Ragil told me, the Rosh says you shouldn't believe him. He says like this, it was well known that all the Jewish tailors would go around in this business, like here we used to have the home silk shop or the International House of Linens, where my mother was a dressmaker, so I know, the tailors would go around the community looking for canvas thread, because when the Jewish tailors would make clothing, they would make sure that they wouldn't use linen thread to sew the wool garments. So the non-Jews knew that, because it was much harder to find canvas than linen. So the non-Jew is claiming publicly that my thing is made out of canvas because he knows that's going to get more coining, that's going to get more purchasers. So therefore the Rosh says we have a chashash to not believe him. The Shulchan Aruch and Ramah rule this way, that all garments must be checked for Shaatnez. The Ramah adds that even if one instructs a Gentile specifically to sew with hemp and not linen, the Gentile is presumed to have not followed instructions properly, and the product must be checked. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah. Halokech litzemer man nachrim tzarich lebadkan yafe yafe shemein tfurim b'pishtan. If you buy a garment from a non-Jew, you got to check it. Says the Ramah, and if you buy a garment from a goy, a non-Jew, you have to undo their sewing, their thread, and you have to re-sew it with canvas. Even if you heard him discuss it with somebody else, without even asking him, you just heard him sort of narrating it according to his own inner desire to talk about it, we don't believe him if he says I sewed it with canvas. However, in a locale where linen was more expensive than canvas, then you could rely on him if he claimed that he did it with canvas. Says the Ramav, you cannot tell a non-Jew to make you a garment and sew it with canvas. Even if linen is more expensive, the neka lit for the canvas. It's also easier as a garment manufacturer to use linen thread than canvas thread. And Yisrael HaChoshev lit for kloim also didn't go. If a Jew has been suspect once before to have sold Shaatnez, so you have to treat him like a non-Jew as well. Based on the guidelines established by the Shulchan Aruch, Rav Chaim Kanievsky rules in the Derech Emunah that one who buys clothing from a Gentile or from a non-religious Jew may not rely on the seller if he says that there's no concern for Shaatnez, but must have the article checked. You can't, let's say there's a sign on the garment, Shaatnez free. They're really not sure that they know. We don't know exactly what this garment is made of. Except for the Shaatnez laboratories that use a microscope. And they can tell what kind of garment this is. Or chemical ones. You have to buy it from a trustworthy seller or someone who, a reliable tailor. Or somebody reliable who testifies to you that there's no Shaatnez in it. Or kind of garments that we know for sure are not made out of wool and linen. Even if the tag listing the fabrics used in the clothing does not list both linen and wool, and maybe you think there's nothing in there, one may not rely on this to assume that no concern of Shaatnez exists, due to a variety of reasons that are explained by the Dinei Shaatnez. Kasha lismoch alaminat pirut harekev habeged hanichtav b'tavid. That means when we look at food today, it tells us exactly the ingredients. Well, if you look at a garment, it'll say 100% wool, or 30% cotton, 70% wool. He says like this: even if it's claimed that this garment is made out of one material, bifrat be'eretz Yisrael kayom sharshiyut hamamanut al kach ein ichpad. He says the regulating agencies are not careful, and number two, they will allow a certain amount of not that material, even though it's not listed. We can't rely on that. 15%. So, for example, if an ingredient is less than 15% of the garment, you have to list it as an ingredient. So even if the import or the manufacturer marks the label as prescribed by the law, it won't help, because there could be linen less than maybe 10%. It's the main fabric composition of the garment. For example, the lining, the accessories like the buttons, they don't list that. Not the lining, not the buttons, or the reinforcements to the sleeves. So it's getting problematic here. Despite the fact that one cannot necessarily rely on a clothing tag or the seller that a given garment does not contain Shaatnez, it's also clear that one is not obligated to check every single garment for Shaatnez. First of all, we saw previously in the Mishnah that one need not be concerned for Shaatnez, where it can be presumed that linen and wool are not present. Although the Rishonim state that linen at that time was considered available and all clothing was considered, certain types of clothing generally do not contain Shaatnez. They don't have to be checked. Therefore, any type of clothing that experience demonstrates does not actually contain Shaatnez today, does not have to be checked. And we are going to go through together the detailed list tonight. By contrast, types of clothing that are found to occasionally contain Shaatnez would have to be checked. Now, what are the Gedorim? What are the criteria to determine which clothing qualify as needing to be checked? The poskim assume that the determining factor is the concept of miut hamotzi, a minority, but a prevalent minority. Now we're going to define what that is. It's a significant minority, which is discussed in multiple places in Allah, such as with regard to the prohibition of consuming insects. Accordingly, a type of garment that has been found to contain Shaatnez in a significant minority of cases would have to be checked. So if more than a certain percentage of suits are found to be Shaatnez, then suits have to be checked. Now, what's that amount? The poskim dispute exactly what percentage is considered to be included in the category of miut hamatzui. Some authorities rule it's like right under 50%, meaning that when there's almost 50% or more chance that there's a Shaatnez there, then you have to be concerned. Well, miut hamatzui. Says Rav Yosef and Yalkut Yosef, Kol beged shematzu b'chak Shaatnez. So if you have a garment where we're concerned that there might be Shaatnez in it, you got to give it to a Shaatnez lab. If they can find it and remove it. He says, when do we have to check? When do you have to check fruit for hidden insects? Pre Shematzi boy tolaim chayv b'bdika. The cost of Bishut Mishkanos Yaakov The sheer miut amotzi uchelik echad masar, 10%. So if it's known by the industry that 10% of a certain fruit is infested with insects, and you have to check every fruit. If it's less than 10%, you have to check it. That's according to that sheet. Das agon Rishon Zamen Auerbach, Shetov is chashe b'shir zeh. He says to rely on 10%. Ulam b'tshuvas harivosh, the shir mita motzi hu karv lemechza. He is more lenient. He says unless you know that 50%, that the chances of finding insects or the chance of finding Shaatnez in a suit is 49%, and if it's less than that, you don't have to check. So ulefi ze gam b'Shaatnez. Im no delanu sheyesh miyut amotzer krav lemechza sheyesh potaru Shaatnez. I haven't lived up because I beg it. That according to everybody, if suits from Hugo Boss, if they analyzed them and more than 50% of those suits had Shaatnez, then every Hugo Boss would have to be checked. So at least relying on the Rivash, if the statistics were that it was only 20%, you wouldn't have to check it. That would only be a chumrah. You want to check it, but the Mikra, then you wouldn't have to do it. He's referring to Shlomo Zalman. So it's a very nice halachic analysis here in a concept that we will see in other places in halacha regarding this concept of miyut hamatzui. The Sefer Shaatnez La'alach L'mais records that some posts can add that one who is stringent to check even clothing concerning which there's a very small chance that they contain Shaatnez is commendable, especially nowadays when there are special Shaatnez laboratories in many places that can check for Shaatnez relatively pure, but it's not required. Then it says sub beged sheshchichutot hashadish bo hipochos mi 10%, avol yoter mi 1%. Royally reishamayim lemosur lebedika kodem halavishi. It says even under 10%, a reishamayim should check it. If he needs to wear it for a wedding, he doesn't have time to do it. And afterwards you can check it. Kain Omer Li Agon Rav Yosef Shalom Al Yosef Sheyesh Yoter Mi 1% Ve'afshar Levar Bakal Roy Levar. If it's easy to do it, you should do it, but he that's 1%. But we certainly have a shita that's all not me'ikr Shaatnez nowadays, which are not. Although conditions can change over time, the Yalkut Yosef presents a general list of garments that are generally Shaatnez free, and he notes some others that should be checked. He says, Chalifot shel Gvarim, first suits, Motzi Behem Shaatnez. Most of them have Shaatnez. Zulat Chavrot sheyesh lehem hefsher, except for the companies that have a hefsher. O shehuv zuku shein behem Shaatnez, or there's a chazaka because they've been checked already many times and they don't have Shaatnez. Ucheshabotkim et hachalifa, when they check the suit, yesh livdok et kol chalakea, they should check all parts of it. V'gam chalifot mibad sinseti, a synthetic material, bavad. He says even a polyester suit, matzulaf Shaatnez b'tzavaran, in the collar. Shai asumi bad semer, that was made out of wool. The hamilui, the filling in the coat, hayasurim epishtan. V'man yesh oimrim shebechalifot mibad sinseti, a synthetic like polyester suit, where there's less than 50% wool, and especially if each thread of the wool is woven with a polyester, and then einan strichen b'dika ki atzemer kvar batul b'rava chumrim asinsetim. They had their bottle, like we said before. And therefore the possibility that there would be one linen together is very low. Therefore it doesn't qualify for miyut hamatzui. Ulambado mi'il sheyesh bo yoter me-50% shel tzemer. But a garment, a suit, or a jacket that has more than 50% wool, yesh lachu shema nispro hudvu kubem chutei pishtan. We're concerned they were sewn with linen thread. Yesh b'garim she'enan tzrichim b'dika mishatnez. Some things don't need any check. Mikivan she'ein motzu b'hem Shaatnez ve'elu hein. ozniyot, earmuffs, right? Garbayim socks, chagurot belts, chutzot sport t-shirts, taluses, kippot, kfafot gloves, levanim, which is underwear, magavot towels, magvaot lavad, that's a felt hat, nalayim shoes, pajamas, and cloth bags. They don't have to be checked. These you have to check. A vest, a khalifa, which is a suit, kovet semer, a wool hat that has, especially that has a lining, sheyesh barikut pnimi, magafayim and semer, those wool boots, michnasayim pants, me'ilim jackets, tzifet semer wool scarves, smalot, chorfiot, or chatziot, skirts or dresses made out of wool. Kvar bianu shekayom kimat ein matzui shaatnez b'min alayim. Shoes normally don't have shaatnez. Afnale buy it. Slippers, shem ufadim el mala, that have, padding on top. V'chein magafayim, boots, beikam yisug yakar, expensive ones. Yesh mehem shemroftim berifud alul akil teruv semel pishtam yakto. They might have shaatnez. V'chein yesh nalayim shechelkan ha'elyon asumi pishtam, that the top of the shoe is made out of linen. The tofin and they're sewed with wool, thread. And even if it's not in mida matzui, you should check it. Even it's not mida matzui, you should check it. A woolen belt. And you use the woolen belt and you're wearing linen pants, there's no shaatnez because they're not woven together. You can wear wool socks and linen shoes. As long as if you cannot remove the lower one without removing the upper one, you can be lenient. Now, here are some guidelines from the Sefer Shaatnez Halacha L'Maisa, published about 10 years ago. He says alterations, we're on page 318. One should check garments to which significant alterations were made, like the replacement of a lining, to ensure that shaatnez was not inserted in unintentionally, especially if the tailor is from Eastern Europe. Many tailors use linen material and reinforcements, and occasionally sew buttons with linen thread. Now, what if you made alterations due to shaatnez? One must have the garment checked after having the shaatnez portion removed to ensure that it was removed. Belts, leather belts don't contain shaatnez. Boots, we said, the more expensive types sometimes contain wool in the lining and linen in the stuffing. Capes, when made out of wool, the lining or fabric may contain shaatnez. Caps, they sometimes contain shaatnez, should be checked, especially made in Israel. Fur coats may be made of linen and wool, the lining. Parkas, stuffing in there polyester, usually doesn't contain shaatnez. Raincoats, when the external fabric is wool, you have to check them. When it doesn't contain shaatnez. Winter coats, they do contain shaatnez, should be checked. Costumes made in Eastern Europe need to be checked. By couches and sofas, when the upholstery is made out of wool, must be checked, as the sewing thread is often linen. If it's made of synthetic material, cotton does not usually contain shaatnez. And we said if you don't sit directly on it, but you cover, it's not a problem. Thick curtains that look like linen may contain linen and wool and should be checked. Thin curtains do not need to be checked. Earmuffs do not contain shaatnez. If you buy fabric, it's often sold without its composition. And therefore, you should check the fabric before sewing it with wool or linen. Garments made in Russia and Eastern Europe contain a lot of linen and wool and should be checked. Expensive gloves that are knitted may need to be checked. Handbags do not contain shaatnez. Felt hats do not contain shaatnez. Fur hats, especially in Eastern Europe, may contain shaatnez and should be checked. Kippot, we said, is not a problem. Kitchen gloves he says sometimes contains reprocessed materials. Knitted fabrics, wool is the same as appears for sweaters. Mattresses, we say, do not contain Shaatnez. Pajamas do not contain Shaatnez. Pants, when they contain wool, do contain Shaatnez, should be checked. Even if the jacket is Shaatnez free. Robes, if made out of wool, should be checked. Rugs, the bottoms are reinforced and sometimes have linen. If they are made out of wool, they must be checked. Threads used in a sewing machine do not usually contain Shaatnez. Strong threads that are not synthetic should be verified. Sheets usually don't contain Shaatnez unless they're made of reprocessed wool or mixed fibers. Shirts, cotton and polyester don't contain Shaatnez. Women's blouses, if made out of cotton or polyester, do not need to be checked. If they're made of a mixture of linen and wool, they should be checked. If the collar is made of wool and the shirt is linen, then you have to ask a shaila. If they are made out of linen alone and there's only one color, may be recommended to check. Skirts, when the fabric contains wool, there may be Shaatnez in the fabric itself, in the lining, the reinforcements, they should be checked. Elazar, sleeping bags, sometimes contain stuffing from shredded rags.
Called K-Pack. They used to grind up all the old materials, and they used that in the stuffing.
So therefore, and of course, a sleeping bag is something that they can use to warm yourself up. There'd be an need of Shaatnez. But again, like you said, there may not be an issue. There may not be an issue of doing business with it. You just have to make sure that a Jew doesn't buy it, that a Jew doesn't benefit from it.
Ellen asked the question before if there is an Isur Hanoah and Shaatnez. There is no Isur Hanoah because you said that the Gemara in Psochim said, "Kol mokom shenemar lo torchal." Right. You can have a tent from Shaatnez as long as you don't wear it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So why rugs? Why do you have
what?
Why do you have rugs?
No, what did Nathaniel say? What did Nadi say?
I said you can have a tent made of Shaatnez, and you don't have any problem to have pleasure from this tent.
So we said before that I don't think there's an Isur Hanoah. It's just it wasn't brought anywhere, and we brought a lot of rayas why there would be no Isur Hanoah here. It's just I didn't investigate the question, so I just assume. But that's why I say I take it under advisement. I don't think, and you bring another raya, the fact that you can benefit from the tent. If we can benefit from it, certainly you can sell it to a non-Jew. But I'm just saying, if you sell a sleeping bag and it's got Shaatnez, it's going to make sure that the Jew doesn't use it, right?
And also, you can sell it as long as a Jew doesn't buy it.
As long as a Jew doesn't buy it in economic. So suit jackets, we say if the fabric contains wool, they have to be checked. If it does not contain wool, they should be checked because there might be Shaatnez in the lining. That's men's and women's suits. We know there's a real issue. Even religious sellers and tailors have discovered suits with Shaatnez. So consequently, they say that you should check your suits. Simple sweaters don't contain Shaatnez if made out of wool. If it's fancier, you have to check. Same thing for women. Usually they don't require check. If it's cotton, if they contain linen or wool, they need to be checked. A tallis, when made out of wool or cotton, there is not usually linen. They do not need to be checked. There were a number of instances where linen thread was found on the Torah, but this is not common anymore, they say. Now, we say the ties, the lining sometimes contains wool, so the tie should be checked. Ties with a textured surface may contain linen, even when made polyester should be checked. Silk or synthetic ties do not contain Shaatnez. But some companies have had ties that were discovered to contain Shaatnez, so one should inquire about the issue. Towels don't contain Shaatnez. Underwear don't contain Shaatnez. Veils don't contain Shaatnez. But vests should be checked. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we finished volume 3. And now, Mitzvah Hashem, next week, we will start really the heart and soul of Isser V'Heter, which is with heart and soul of Yoreh De'ah, which is the laws of Isser V'Heter, starting with Pei Zayin, Basar B'Cholav. And we will continue throughout Isser V'Heter, volume 4 and volume 5, Mitzvah Hashem. You should correct everybody. We should also, once we're out of this quarantine, we should consider making a seal every time we finish a volume, or maybe when we finish Yoreh De'ah. But we should think about
good idea.
Finish a volume is a big thing. So in Mirza Hashem, it should be, we should get together in person, not just through Uber Eats.
Where we get the volume? Where are we going to get the next volume?
Well, most people got volume 4 and volume 5 from me already.
Oh, I didn't get it. Okay.
Okay, so we'll get it for you within the next week. We'll get
When
volume
did
four.
when did volume 5 come?
4 and 5.
A whole bunch of people bought. Remember, I got 10 volume. We sold volume 5 to people, didn't we?
Yes.
He's only 4.
No, volume.
No, we did 5.
Raise your hand who got 5.
Can't see.
Right.
I
So
don't
we
have
gave out.
5.
So we
I
have
don't
more.
5.
Susie,
I don't have 5 either.
I didn't get 4 either.
I have.
Oh, maybe-
Are adopted. We didn't get
4
5.
we have. 4 we have.
I
I didn't got 4. Who can?
Well, we have for you 4. I think we have more 5s too. I didn't run out of the 5s. I think. But if we need more
Right.
5s, we'll have to order some more 5s.
Can I?
How am I